Godwin Obaseki, accompanied this morning by Her Excellency the Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Dr. Idiat Oluranti Adebule, the wife of the Governor of Lagos State and the Chairman of the Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials Cowsol, Her Excellency Mrs. Bolanle Ambode, and of course, the wife of the Governor of Ogun State, Dr. Mrs. Olufunsho Amosu. And of course, Governor Obaseki is accompanied by his wife, Her Excellency Mrs. Betsy Obaseki. Your Excellencies, you're all very welcome. Please, can we give them the Lagos round of applause? Of creation, direct of noble cause, guide our leaders, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to run and live. We would like to take the Cowsol anthem.
Okoniwa, we are one, we are Cowsol, Cowsol, and we stand by our husbands. We are the mothers of the land. We will build with our hands a Lagos filled with greatness. We are strong, we are Cowsol, Okoniwa. We will serve our land. We will stand for our people. We will rise and together we will build our home. We are strong. We are Cowsol, Okoniwa. Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials. Inú ilé obìnrin ló kọ́mọ lérò. Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials. Inú ayé obìnrin ló kọ́mọ lérò. We are strong. We are Cowsol, Okoniwa.
We are Cowsol, Okoniwa. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, can we please put our hands together as I invite to the microphone the Chairman of the Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials, Her Excellency, Mrs. Bolanle Ambode, to give the welcome address. I'm sure she deserves a better round of applause.
Please be seated. Thank you. The special guest of honor and Governor of Edo State, His Excellency Godwin Obaseki. the Grand Matron, Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials, Her Excellency Senator Oluremi Tinubu, OON, ably represented by Mrs. Olayinka Agunsoye. Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Dr. Idiat Oluranti Adebule. Your Excellencies, wife of governors here present, my beautiful sisters, Her Excellency Oyo, Ogun State, Representative Ondo State, First Lady, Mrs. Titilayo Adeyemi, Your Excellencies, former First Ladies here present, wife of the former Deputy Governor, Lagos State Justice Jumoke Pedro, Your Excellencies, former Deputy Governors here present, honorable members here present, members of the Lagos State Executive Council here present, body of permanent secretaries here present, chairmen of local governments and LCDAs here present, the National APC Woman Leader, Southwest, Chief Mrs. Kemi Nelson, Lagos State APC Women Leader, Honorable Jumoke Okoya Thomas, wife of APC Chairman, Lagos State, Mrs. Tolani Balogun, members of Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials, my beautiful sisters, Cowsol, our sponsors, all our speakers, chairmen of sessions, political groups here present, our awardee of today, participants, distinguished guests, gentlemen of the press. I return all glory to the Most High God for the abundant grace and good health which He has granted unto us to be part of this great edition of our annual national conference. It is the 18th National Women Conference of the Committee of Wives of Lagos State's Official Council, and not a few participants will attest to the impact it has made in the lives of our women over the years. This impact is what we have come to strengthen with this edition of our conference. As it is the tradition of Cowsol to hold a conference once every year, we have gathered again to examine issues that pertain to women on the one hand and the society on the other. Distinguished guests, I especially welcome all dignitaries in attendance whose despite distance and their busy schedules have journeyed down here for the program. Most respectfully, I welcome our special guest of honor, His Excellency Mr. Godwin Obaseki, Governor of Edo State, for graciously honoring our invitation. Similarly, I appreciate the contributions of the Grand Matron of Cowsol, the more distinguished Senator Oluremi Tinubu, and former Cowsol Chairman. The same goes for our chief host and my daddy husband, His Excellency, Mr. Akiumi Ambode, Governor of Lagos State. We owe him a debt of gratitude. Time will not permit the rendition of all the encomiums he deserves for all that he has done for women in the state and to move Cowsol to its current level. His promise to me at the inception was that he will offer all the support within his power to take Cowsol to the next level. Within a few years, his kind support has lifted the committee to the vintage level it now occupies. All the women of Cowsol are grateful. We pray that God bless you abundantly and grant you good health. Thank you, sir. In the same vein, I warmly welcome my lovely sisters, wives of governors, who have traveled long distance down to Lagos to identify with us as they have always done. I'm proud of you all and happy to have you around us. I also welcome delegates from other states. May God bless you all. Distinguished guests, without being immodest, women all over the world are pillars of growth and development of their countries. In many ways, women have continued to play roles that demonstrate how important they are to the progress of their countries economically, politically, socially, and in all other areas that matter. Women in Nigeria are no different, and we are happy that women in Lagos State are setting the pace. Our quest to continually improve the welfare of women and sustain the leading position of Lagos State in the Federation. Our key objective behind our coming together annually to discuss the way forward. This year, we will be examining topics around the central theme, strengthening our collective impact. When we come together and collaborate, either in government establishments, privately owned businesses, NGOs, or wherever, we tend to achieve significant and lasting social change that will be beneficial to all. We have the unique ability of looking at problems and coming up with solutions that will transform lives and make the world a better place. Thus, women should learn to come together, support each other, and discard unproductive habits. There's advantage in numerical strength. As usual, we have carefully selected TESEL facilitators and speakers to do justice to the various topics. Notably, some of the topics to be examined are vulnerable but not defenseless. Who are the vulnerable? How have they been able to come out of life-threatening challenges? And how can anyone in such a situation seek help? The hazards of teenage pregnancy focuses on children having children. Life of purpose, navigating aspects of life successfully. This will focus on doing things today that will set you aside for tomorrow's success despite challenges. We will also be looking at what marriage means to us. This will examine the role of perseverance, the things to consider when getting married, and lots more. Some of the facilitators include Dr. Veronica Ayo Iwayemi, Mrs. Folashade Adetiba, Mrs. Bridget Isweli, Mrs. Fumi Oyetunji, Mrs. Omotola Rotimi, and many others. Distinguished guests, the founding objectives of Cowsol is to actively assist the government in improving the welfare of women in the states. In the last 3 years, our committee has executed many health-related projects which have recorded impressive impacts on the health of babies, children, youths, women, and the aged ones. 2 years ago, we upgraded the ear, nose, and throat department of the Lagos Island General Hospital, Odon, while also sponsoring goiter operation for some women. Last year, we continued our intervention by donating portable auto-read OAE's equipment to 4 general hospitals, namely Badagry, Ifako-Ijaye, Ikorodu, and Gbagada General Hospital. Also last year, we donated an intensive care unit, ICU, to the Lagos Island Maternity. These are some of the achievements recorded by Cowsol in the last couple of years. Distinguished guests, this year also, Cowsol donated portable auto-read OAE's equipment to Shomolu and Alimosho General Hospitals, as well as transport incubator ambulances to Bagada General Hospital and Lagos Island Maternity Hospital. These facilities, aptly described as womb on wheels, are to be deployed to convey preterm babies, also known as premature babies, to government facilities equipped with neonatal ICU to save their lives. The transport incubator is fully equipped with life support gadgets and other conveniences, making it a womb-like environment for the baby to enhance its chances of survival while being evacuated to the ICU. Those special ambulance buses can also be used to convey infants with severe post-birth complications, and others in serious emergency situations. The women of Cowsol, that with this intervention, many more newborns, infants, and children in Lagos State will be saved and avoidable deaths with attendant happiness to their parents. The women are happy to contribute this way to the progress of our state and the overall happiness of the citizens. Distinguished guests, our inspirational woman of the year, Toyin Shokefu Bello, popularly known as CY Bello, a singer, songwriter, photographer, and philanthropist, will soon be decorated by a special guest of honor. As usual, our gala night, filled with fun and entertainment, comes up tomorrow evening. Do not miss it, as much funds awaits you and lots of juicy prizes to be won. I use this opportunity to express profound gratitude to individual and corporate sponsors who have consistently stood by us, ensuring that Cowsol continues to go from strength to strength. On this note, I warmly welcome everyone to this edition of our National Women's Conference. Please relax and enjoy bits of it. Ìtẹ̀síwájú ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó ló jẹ wá lógún. God bless you all.
Please, can we put our hands together more resoundingly for Her Excellency, the wife of a governor of Lagos State, Mrs. Bolanle Ambode. It's time to present the 2018 Inspirational Woman Award recipient. I invite to please step forward as we will be reading her citation. Please put your hands together for T.Y. Bello.
She came into the limelight through her membership of the talented photography collective Depth of Field, and has also inspired the public since the 2000s with her award-winning songs. T.Y. has since gone on to earn the reputation as one of Nigeria's foremost photographers. Her evocative images never fail to rouse strong emotions. They have made her one of the most applauded and keenly sought-after portrait photographers in the country. Indeed, she has a unique distinction of having photographed 3 sitting Nigerian presidents. Her documentary and portrait work, which has been widely applauded and has been shown at venues at home and abroad, has a long list of it. Now, some of her bodies of work include Imaging Ourselves, an in-depth look at the African society and its perception of beauty. The Future is Ours, the lifestyle and challenges of the younger generation of Nigeria. Hip Afrique A and B, a photo documentary on the younger generation of Africans and the different cultures they embrace. Take My Hand, a photo documentary on AIDS. Womanhood, a portrait study of the different stages of womanhood and the emotional metamorphosis that takes place through her lifespan. Fanti, an ongoing documentary of this Lagos festival. Making an Entrance, an ongoing documentary on the evolution of contemporary African dance. Friends of the Veranda Man, an ongoing documentary on people from her late father's generation. T.Y., mentored by some great photographers, include Akimbode Adebiyi, Jide Adeniyi Jones, and the late Tim Havington, has earned awards including the special prize of the Jury Fuji Africa Press Photography Award. She currently photographs in Lagos and is committed to sharing her work and knowledge through workshops and training. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the 2018 Inspirational Woman of the Year Award. I present to you T.Y. Bello.
And to present the award is the special guest of honor, His Excellency Governor Obaseki, also accompanied by the representative of the Governor of Lagos State, Her Excellency the Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Dr. Idiat Oluranti Adebule, and Her Excellency, the wife of a Governor of Lagos State, Mrs. Bolanle Ambode. Please, could you put your hands together
strong. We are Cowsol, Okoniwa. We will serve our land. We will stand for our people. We will rise and together we will build our home. We are strong. We are Cowsol, Okoniwa. Committee of Wives of Lagos State officials.
Please, can Your Excellencies, the wife of the governor of your state, Your Excellency, the wife of the governor of Ogun State, please could you join the inspirational woman of the year 2018 and His Excellency, the governor of Edo State, the wife of the governor of Edo State, please could you join His Excellency and the inspirational woman for this presentation, please.
Okoniwa. We are one. We are Cowsol, Cowsol, and we stand by our husbands. We are the mothers of the land.
Still photographers and cameramen, please let us be orderly in our conduct. Please.
A land that's filled with greatness. We are strong. We are Cowsol, Okoniwa. We will serve our land. We will stand.
Thank you very much. The inspirational woman, T.Y. Bello, will respond at this point in time. Please put your hands together for the inspirational woman of the year 2018, T.Y. Bello.
Wow. I'm trying very hard to hold back the tears because this means so much to art and for creativity. Lagos has always been that state that encourages people to express themselves, has always been a state that rewards creative entrepreneurship. And I am so honored. I am so, so grateful to be considered for this and to be given this. God bless you all. I'm grateful. Thank you.
I'm sure you know that in the last few years, Lagos has changed the way the world sees even Nigerians. But of course you know that everything works well when you have a fantastic leader. I'm talking about no other person than His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State. And today, he is ably represented by what we call General in Skirts. And that is no other person other than the Deputy Governor of Lagos State. A fantastic woman. Can we please put our hands together as I invite Dr. Idiot Olurunwati Adebule to give us the goodwill message from His Excellency.
It's great to be here once again. And today, I'm here representing His Excellency, the Governor of the state, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode, who in the course of my address, you will know why His Excellency is not here. Distinguished guests of honor, the Governor of Edo State, His Excellency, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, and Matron Cowsol, Mrs. Olayinka Agunsoye, top government functionaries here present, participants of this conference, invited guests present, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I then go on to read the address of His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, to this distinguished audience. Your Excellencies, the Chairman, National Working Committee, and the entire members of Council, resource persons, participants, distinguished guests, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, I cannot be with you. at this opening event, as I'm presently on a state assignment with His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari in Seme in Badagry. On behalf of my wife and all the lovely wives of Lagos State officials, I welcome you all to the 18th edition of the Cowsol Conference. I especially welcome my brother and friend, the Governor of Edo State, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, as special guest of honor. Cowsol has worked ceaselessly to complement the efforts of their spouses in government. We are proud of your achievements, particularly in the area of giving hope and succor to the less privileged through donation both in cash and in kind. The knowledge and good spiritedness exhibited in the last 3 editions of the conference are values that I cherish always. The theme for this year's conference, strengthening our collective impact, is very apt and a call for unity of purpose and action. Distinguished participants, I have no doubt, as always, that this year's conference will be very impactful, and I urge you all to attend the various segments of this conference as they have been packaged to add value to you. I've been briefed that our resource persons are very competent to add value to all of us again this year. I congratulate this year's recipient of the Cowsol Inspirational Women of the Year Award, Mrs. Toyin Shokefun Bello, better known as T.Y. Bello, a renowned photographer and musician. With this recognition, her achievements have been acknowledged and celebrated to serve as motivation to other young women. To Her Excellency Bolanle Ambode, you have continued to be a virtuous woman, a wonderful sister, and a wife any husband will be proud of. Thank you for being there at all times. Again, I'm sorry I cannot be with you today, but I promise to join you for the gala night tomorrow. And the closing ceremony on Thursday. I thank all our guests for accepting our invitation to this year's Cowsol National Women Conference. I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you, and God bless you.
We are pleased this morning to invite His Excellency, the 10th Governor of Edo State. Please put your hands together for His Excellency, Mr. Godwin Obaseki.
The Grand Matron, Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials, Her Excellency, Mrs. Senator Oluremi Tinubu, who is here ably represented by Mrs. Olayinka Ogunsoye. Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Dr. Adebule, Your Excellencies, the wives of the governors of Ogun and Oyo states who are present, and the representative of the governor of Ondo State, our national APC woman leader, Southwest, Chief Mrs. Kemi Nelson, the Lagos State APC woman leader, Honorable Jumoke Okoya Thomas, members of the Committee of Wives of Lagos State officials, participants. You know I'm from Edo State and we revere culture a lot. The chiefs from the Palace of the Oba of Lagos are here. I recognize and acknowledge you, and as we say in Edo, Oba Tokwe. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen of the press, as the MC remarked, just before my inauguration, I attended the 16th edition of this event. And last year, I believe I had the privilege also of being here. And for me, this was quite and has been quite remarkable. And the reason is because it's a fantastic idea. Fantastic because it builds on family connection. It connects the family with government, where the wife and the families and the children in the family get together and are linked with where daddy or the father works and earns his daily bread. It's powerful because it serves as another opportunity for government to be able to reach its people, interact, and get another perspective of what's going on around the state. Because it's very easy when you are in government, particularly at the top. Everybody is saying excellency, 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 and they tell you what you want to hear. But it's only the family, the wife and the children, who will say, Daddy or Mommy, it is not true. This is what we heard in the boss today. So this is a very, very powerful network that you have created. And a lot of us from other states are quite envious of what you have done. And we want to congratulate you. What's also significant is just not that you get together and you have conferences, but between your conferences, you take your time, you take time out, you gather your resources together, and you also intervene in society. I've seen your activities, particularly in the area of healthcare, and in the area of affecting the most vulnerable in our societies. How you have contributed and continue to make donations to the well-being of the less privileged, in addition to the various empowerment programs which you continue to run for the people of Lagos State. The Almighty will continue to bless your efforts. Like I said, you serve as an inspiration to a lot of us. Many states are now copying what you're doing. I recall last year, I think the chairman, the governor of Jigawa, did say that as soon as he goes back home, he will ensure that he institutes the same sort of initiative. So you see, this idea you have incubated in Lagos State has gone places. The only place it hasn't reached yet is Edo. And so the First Lady of Edo is on her way here. I instructed her this morning from Benin. I said, you must be here today. I want you to come and sit with your sister Bolanle and let her put you through so that we can begin to organize such events in Edo. The only challenge we will have is that your name is, what is it? What does it mean? Association of Wives of Lagos Officials. Where you have a civil service or a public service, where there are more women than men, what do? So we cannot say committee of wives alone. We have to say committee of spouses. Or what do we say? How do we do our own? Anyway, that is going to be a problem between the First Lady of Edo State and Mrs. Ambode. Let me also use this opportunity to thank you for something else you continue to do, which is to identify one woman who has been inspirational to the woman fold in this country or in this part of the world, and recognize them. You do not understand or imagine and appreciate how much this recognition means. Just seeing the emotion from T.Y. Bello this morning, you can see she's achieved so much. She's been so many places. She's done a lot of things in the world. But that appreciation of her efforts by women like you means so much to her and to all of us. I was here last year, and you gave the award to the lady mechanic who happens to be from Edo State. I don't know why it's always about Edo. Maybe because of the Edo connection with Lagos State or with Lagos. Is that not so? I think the chiefs from the palace understand what I'm talking about. That Eko is an Edo word. An Edo word for war camp. So maybe that connection. Because this year, again, the person you have awarded, you've given the award to, it also has Edo connections. Her children are from Edo. So I want to, on behalf of T.Y. Bello, thank the association for this honor you have done to this amazing woman. You may not know, her role in photographing me turned my campaign around. When my campaign was struggling, my brother, Akin Ambode, said, I'm going to send a photographer to you that will capture you, take your images, and from there you will create all the images you need for your campaign. And those powerful lenses of T.Y. Bello did it for me. So you see, I have a lot of reasons to come to Lagos. Not because I'm accused of being a Lagos boy in Benin, but because I owe so much to Lagos. It's on that note, because the First Lady of Edo State has just arrived, that I now have the pleasure and the honor to declare the 18th edition of the Women's National Conference, which is organized by the wives of Lagos State government officials, open. Congratulations, Mrs. Ambode.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'd like to invite the chairperson of the National Women's Conference 2018 to give us the vote of thanks. Please welcome Dr. Ariola Oluwo. Can we put our hands together for her, please?
Our special guest of honor, His Excellency, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, the Governor of Edo State. Our chief host, the Governor of Lagos State, His Excellency, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode, ably represented by the Deputy Governor, Lagos State, Dr. Oluronti Idayat Adebule. Permit me to stand on the already established protocol. It is our ultimate honor and privilege to host the 18th edition of the National Women's Conference, organized by the Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials, Cowsol. We thank our special guest of honor, His Excellency Mr. Godwin Obaseki, the Governor of Edo State, for honoring our invitation. We appreciate our Governor and Chief Host, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode, for always supporting us. We thank you, Ma, Mrs. Bolanle Ambode, for being our pillar of support. We thank our Grand Matron, our most distinguished Senator, Oluremi Tinubu, ably represented by Mrs. Agusoye. We thank all our First Ladies who are present, Oyo, Ogun, Edo, and the representative of the First Lady for Ondo State. We appreciate all our former deputy governors, members of ESCO, the judiciary, permanent secretaries, the royal fathers. We thank you, sir. We thank all our donors. We appreciate the annual support that we get from you. We pray that God will continue to be with every one of you. We thank the management and staff of Eco Hotels and Suites. Inspirational Woman of the Year, we appreciate you. We thank all our speakers and the chairs of sessions for your professional contributions. We thank all the media, security personnel. We appreciate the good work that you're doing. I must also thank all the members of the 2018 Planning Committee and those who volunteered. God bless you. Finally, as someone said, we may not be able to change the world. We cannot always bend the world into the shape we want, but we can always try to make the world into what we can live in. I urge you to continue to try. Therefore, let us be alert to the collective impact that we as women can make and must make in order for us to achieve personal growth and secure the future that we want. I thank you all, dear participants. Expect the best. God bless you all. Thank you.
Please welcome Dr. Mrs. Olufolayimika Ayodele. I'd like us to put our hands together as I welcome Mrs. Funmi Oyetunji. Can we please put our hands together for Mrs. Oyetunji, please? At this point in time, I'd like to respectfully hand over this session to the chairman, Dr. Mrs. Olufolayimika Ayodele.
Your Excellencies, distinguished Nigerian women, ladies and gentlemen, another year is here, and we thank God. One thing is certain, and that is life is full of struggles. Do I live by just paying bills? How can I maneuver this journey successfully? I'll hand over to Mrs. Funmi Oyetunji to answer some of these questions. You're welcome.
Good afternoon, ladies. First of all, I'd like to start by thanking Her Excellency, the First Lady of the state. I believe that I was not invited to speak today because I'm a chartered accountant or because I'm an investor or a former banker. I believe it is based on a book I wrote, Thinking About Life and How to Navigate Life generally. in my experience bringing children up and in navigating life myself, since I graduated 41 years ago in 1977, I have learned a couple of things, and it took me 5 years to put that book together because I thought it would be wonderful for someone to have a book in their hand that can help them through what my sister here has called the struggles of life. As women, we have had, or we do have, struggle in different aspects of our lives. Career-wise, parenting, marriage, all the other topics that will be discussed this afternoon. But I thought it would be good to put everything together and be able to say to somebody starting out, or somebody at any level, in fact, to say, take this book, go to the chapter that talks to your problem, and you should be able to see what I have learned, both by experience and by research, because I actually did a lot of research in the book. So I believe that that's why I am here, not as a chartered accountant. Now, my sister started by saying life is full of struggles. So am I just going to start from the day I was born and start tackling one problem or the other until the Lord comes or until it comes to an end? And I say to a lot of people that life does not have to be that at all. Because a thing is abused or not well used if you do not know the purpose of it. If you can take time off to imagine your life as that product that we are trying to find the useful and the purposeful, it helps in a lot of ways then to navigate your life properly. One of the problems I see when I counsel or I listen to people is that they feel helpless and they feel so many things are thrown at them, and for different reasons they do not feel that they have responsibility for their own lives. I was not born rich. I did not find that career that would make me be the best. I did not marry a man that is treating me well. Or I do not even have the children that care for me. So generally, people tend to believe that everything that pertains to life is out of their control. And that is the crux of a problematic life. And so one of the first things I tell people is, can you please just take responsibility? I don't care what stage of life you are. Can you just take this life and say, it's mine? We need to design it. We need to decide what and how it should go, and take the responsibility. I have a small quote. I'm not going to talk to the slides directly, but when I come to the stages where I want you to see certain things, I will use the slide. So I don't know what slide is up. I want a quote. The slide I want is a quote. And it was, they can't find who actually said the quote, but it's a very useful quote. It says, when it comes to what your life brings, it's all about your thoughts. You can blame the universe for being unfair and find comfort in the idea of victimhood. Ultimately, it's all about you and how you wear the choices presented to you by yourself. So take responsibility for the results, no matter if you like it or not. When he talks about the choices presented to you by yourself, we actually make a lot of choices, apart from who was our parent. Beyond the point when we are born and we don't have a choice about it, a lot of everything else that concerns us is about choice. When people complain about their husbands, we're women, so, one of the big issues. When people complain about their husbands, I usually say, even in an arranged marriage, you had some choice in the way you have engaged with this same husband. And so a lot of what happens in our lives is about our choices. But as women, we try to avoid rationality when it's time to take responsibility. Have you ever listened to a man and a woman tell you about exactly the same situation? The man is very rational. He just goes, I'm doing this because I'm going to get this out of it, because I'm going to get that out of it, because I want that outcome. Then the woman goes, it's not all about the money. It's sentimental. My attitude towards it is different. So they wrote a book, they say we are from Venus and the men are from Mars. It's easier for them to make choices because they are from Mars. Because for them, it's a rational choice. They're thinking outcome all the time. Even when a man comes to chase you, he's thinking outcome. I don't know whether he wants you to become the wife or wants you to become the mistress. It's about outcome for them. So the choices are made by you. Now, whether the struggle continues or not, to go back to your question, is that life is going to throw us things at every different stage. They say the only thing that we're sure of is change. Different things will happen. And I like to say that, have you actually stopped to say, this self, my name is Fumi, so call your own name. This self, where do we expect this self to finish as regards marriage, as regards parenting, as regards money, as regards career? Do you sit and say, this is the direction I want this self to be? Think of Coca-Cola. It's a brand. What do you imagine is happening with Coca-Cola? The owners of the brand sit down and say, we want our brand to be number one. Okay, if you create a brand, you're creating expectation in people. You're saying, this is what I promise to be. So I always say to people, you need to go and sit down and create the brand that you are. Your own self is your brand. So I know my friends that I can rely on for different things. I know my Girl Friday when it comes to shopping for food. I know my friend to go to when we're thinking about children's education. What that means is that each of those my friends are a brand. They have made the world to believe that that's how they're going to be. And therefore, we can rely on their brand. So, what's your brand as a wife? What's your brand as a professional? What's your brand as a mother? You know, one of the biggest problems I have is that even women say to women, she's too ambitious. She wants too much. And I ask, why not? That is the brand she wants. I hope I am being followed by my sisters around the hall. If I need to speak Yoruba, I will. In my 6 decades, I haven't spoken English all the time. So when we talk about a brand, in Yoruba, the point is, Bele Rushe Perue La Shemano. What have you told the world that you are? Kí ló ṣe yọ, wọ́n ní bá a ṣe rìn là ń kó ni. Ntó bá lo jẹ́ náà máa fi bá ẹ sọ̀rọ̀, náà ṣe máa bẹ́ ẹ deal. So, have you created that brand? Everybody around the hall, I want you to remember that word if you don't remember anything else today. Brand. So, from now on, as ladies, I want you to be able to tell whoever is talking to you, your husband, your children, your friends, at work, explain to them that you know my brand is. So, brand me. Mi ò kí ń gbarú ẹ̀. Brand me, you can rely on me. Brand me, abiyamọ ni mi. Brand me, I love your song, by the way. Cowsol, I love the song. I need the recording. Because that song is a description of brand. Because you tell everyone what you are. That you're there as helpmeet to your husband. That Okwomulero ni. So it's a song of a brand. So we can have a group brand. But each one of us should develop a personal brand. And that brand, this is one place where you have a freedom. Nobody should write your brand. Not even your husband. Nobody can write your brand. You know how you write your brand? It's by your actions. It's by your actions. If people think they can depend on you, you become that brand. If people think that all you think about is parties, you become that brand. If people, how come when people need help, they know the certain people they go to? So that person would have formed a brand. And by living your brand, by being consistent with your brand, by staying with your brand, you have no problem becoming a success in life.
Thank you very much. Brand me is Okwomulero because I'm a woman. What's your brand? Thank you. Now, we have 10 minutes for questions and answers, but I'll ask the first question while we wait for others to ask questions. We'll take few questions. Madam Speaker, I know my brand, but how can I measure my success? Do I have to compare myself with others?
Mo kí gbogbo àwọn obìnrin àtàtà àtàwà nínú gbọ̀ngàn yìí, mo kí wa kú ìjókòó, a kú àtàárọ̀, a kú ìfọmọ ènìyàn ṣe. Arábìnrin Fúnmi Oyètúnjí, wọ́n fún wa ní ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ bí a ṣe lè gbé ìgbé ayé tó ní ìtumọ̀, ìgbé ayé tó ní ìrọ̀rùn nínú. Wọ́n sọ ìgbésí ayé wọn ní fẹ́rẹ́ jogi kó jẹ́ bí ẹ̀kọ́ fún wa. Wọ́n ní ká ṣàkóso ilé ayé wa, ká ṣàmúrò ipa wa náà, ká ṣàkóso gbogbo ohun tí iṣẹ́ wa bí fún wa pátápátá. Wọ́n ní gẹ́gẹ́ bí obìnrin, ká láròjinlẹ̀. Àmọ́ a máa ń kojú ìpèníjà ṣùgbọ́n ká pinnu láti dojúkọ ìpèníjà náà. Wọ́n wá ní ká bira wa pé kí ni àfojúsùn wa, ká mọ ohun tá a fẹ́ nínú ayé tá a wà yìí, ká ríra wa gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹ̀ṣọ́, ká yàtọ̀ nínú iṣẹ́ wa, ká sì yàtọ̀ nínú ìṣe wa. Wọ́n ní ká ṣera wa ní ẹni tó tayọ láwùjọ. Kókó bẹ̀ náà ni pé ká ní àfojúsùn, ká dẹ̀ ní òye kíkún ohun tá a fẹ́ fúnra wa. Wọ́n ní ìgbésẹ̀ kan péré, òun náà ní ìgbésẹ̀ àṣeyọrí fẹ́ dá. Ẹ̀yin yá wa, ẹ pẹ́ fún wa o.
Measuring our success. One of the problems with people coming to talk to you about success or how to plan, how to navigate your life is that they become people that make it seem as if life does not have its ups and downs. And I want to talk, before I go to measuring success, I want to talk about the downs. I don't know where my... Yes. There is... I can't see it, but I have a slide. Again, I will read it to you because I can't see what is showing on the slide. In my book, I have a chapter called When Life Happens. Because life happens to all of us. Some people pretend that it's not true. Some people pretend that life is always a jolly good ride. But we all know that it's not true. Life happens. So let me give you a quote that I have used for my own life, and it's in the book. It says, there are no mistakes, only lessons to be learned. There is a purpose for everything that has ever happened to you and everything that will happen to you. Every experience offers its own lessons. In Yoruba, that just means ntode mande ba gbogbo wa ngba to ba ya. O mande kì í ṣe pé a kì í ní problems. But the point is, this quote says that everything that happens to us, whether positive or negative, none is a mistake. You know when things happen, you know what I tell people? Male mi ko mo dara mi. I did not create myself. And so, I know that my control is limited. And there are certain things that are going to happen out of my control. Now, what makes me successful is how I handle those down times. And those down times can be handled by carrying in your head, knowing that there is no mistake by your Creator. It has happened. The only way you will make your Creator happy with you or proud of you is how you handle it. And it can be well handled. They are telling me, I'm distilling a lot of these things. I cannot go deep in them. But the book is out there. It's called A Conscious Life. And there's a whole chapter on when life happens. How do you measure yourself? My sister here asked me, how do you measure yourself? You know, I talked about brand. The only way you should ever measure yourself is the brand and the outcome lifetime that you will be proud of. You do not have to think, oh, Fumi read accountancy, I must read accountancy. You do not have to think Fumi's children went to that school, I must go to that school. You need to recline into your soul. And in our soul, each of us know what makes us fulfilled and happy. It's there. The problem for us is the noise from outside. Because somebody came to my office and said, Sister Fumi, you are hibernating. So I said, what does that mean? She said, I don't see you at most parties. And I said, I go to the ones I must go to. But generally, I am not my happiest at parties. I'm sitting there thinking, when can I go home? We are different. So you must measure your own success by the standards that comes from your soul as fulfilling. And you must create the confidence to stand by that. The problem is not having the confidence to stand by how you measure. And it's easier to measure also. You know, they say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If you have planned the outcomes you're looking for, basically, because of who you are, then measuring is easy. I give an easy example, sorry. Financially, I'm an accountant. People say, I don't know how to save. When they bring the Ashoebi and when they bring the gold. I tell people it's always been easy for me. Because I have my own plans. I have an eye in that land that I want to buy. So as the Ashwebi and everything, I'm not thinking about it. I'm thinking about the outcome I'm looking for. And because of that, I'm not envious of those buying gold. I am not envious of those buying Ashwebi. I have my own plan and targets and goals. I keep my eyes on the goals. That is how to measure yourself.
Thank you very much. We measure our success using our brand and outcomes. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Fumi Johnson, and my question is, you are talking to us about how to navigate our life's purpose. How can we, when we don't even know who we are? Because a lot of women, and I'm happy that we're all women here, which is what we have in common. We are busy training our daughters to become like us, and we ourselves are wrong. And then we are training very powerful women that can become chartered accountants and doctors and lawyers and chief executives. But we have not trained our sons to be able to manage such powerful women. So how can you help us as mothers to be able to train proper sons that can cope with the capacious women that we are raising? Thank you.
Thank you. Next person.
My name is Bemi Ozojiofo. I'm a retired civil servant. It occurred to me that societal standards sometimes stand in the way of this self-branding. Societal standards. I'm expected to have a successful marriage by all means. I'm supposed to record the fact that I'm a great parent, even though I'm having challenges with those children. Yes, my career, by fire, by force, I must be a mentor, somebody that is recognized. Nobody must see my failure. So there are certain societal standards that is already standing as measures. How do we overcome these? Then, in order to have that self-branding. And that even if the marriage fails, it doesn't mean that you're not a success.
Thank you.
Please, one more. Then even you talk about upheavals, ups and downs. When this down comes, how do women especially, you said men are more expressive, how do they break the culture of silence because of stigma? What will they say? How will people look at me? You know, how do they break the culture of silence so that we can share? Because when you hear what other people are experiencing, then you know that your own down is even a small thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Abosede Shiro. Experience has shown that branding oneself attracts a lot of envy. How do we manage this?
The questions, quite a lot of people have more than one question in one question. And so we don't actually need more questions. If we can talk to the ones we've heard. The first question was, how can we live a life of purpose when we don't even know who we are, when we haven't found it out? There are two issues with that for me. I see a lot of young people going, I'm waiting to find out my purpose. I'm waiting to find out my purpose. I tell everyone, your purpose is that needs to be done at that stage where you are. And then life joins its dots. When I graduated 41 years ago, all I wanted to be was a chartered accountant. And a chartered accountant, why? Because my father wanted me to be a chartered accountant. So I wanted to be a good child. That was it at that point. Maybe 10 years later, I wanted to be a good mother. And then 5 years after that, I needed to be a supportive wife because my husband wanted to go back to England to work. And, so at different points, things happen that it is by us meeting those things that we are living our purpose. And guess what? Sometime later in future, life joins its own dots. I'm 61 today. I am beyond being a chartered accountant, a mother of professionals, beyond being the wife to my husband, guess what? A lot of the things I did, just being me, just being responsible, wanting to satisfy my father. So what did I learn? I learned how to be diligent and get results. And then while you're raising your children, there are certain disciplines, like somebody said, being a role model, it results in other things. And then one day, you find the dots catching. Today, I almost feel that my main purpose in life, you want me to tell you, and I've only found it out 60 years later, is to be chairperson of that foundation that grants scholarships. Before you clap, it's sad, but the story of my family has been turbulent. All our boys are gone. My father is gone. And if we were not careful, the family name was going to go. And 2 years ago, I endowed the foundation. Everybody thought my position in life, it should have been endowed in my name. But I knew that my name is my husband's name. And if the surname Salami, as my father, Latif Salami's name, was to continue, I needed to create it. Now, you can hope or want to do that. How about if you can't? So, maybe everything I've ever done in life, including being on the board of a few companies who can help with my foundation, maybe that was always my purpose. But if at 21, I was looking for that purpose, I wouldn't have known it. So please, when we're looking for purpose, let us meet the purposes around us in our immediate surroundings at that time. And life will join the dots. Societal standards and affecting your branding. I already talked about it a bit. I said you need to be confident enough to live your standards. You just need to be confident enough to live your own standards. Societal standards are there, but it doesn't matter. For example, this foundation, there were people who went, you need to use your husband's name. That's a societal standard. But I told my husband, this is my father's thing. And it is all the work I have done, the support I have given him, that made it easy for me to stand my ground. So, societal standards should not ever be in your way. She also went to the point of when life happens. Culture, stigma. If you keep looking at the stigma, you will never live your life. Life happened to me when I turned 45. Banking career. His Excellency, the governor of Edo State, I didn't catch him. We were all in the same space in banking. 2002, it finished. It took me 6 months to sit down and decide the redirection of my life. The stigma was not the issue. Today, he is governor. Today, I am who I am. And some of our friends that stayed in banking have not gone as far as we have gone. So stir out the stigma. Branding and envy. The lady talked about we're training our daughters to be who we are, and we're not training our sons to be serious men. Take responsibility, ladies. As long as you're role models for your daughter, you need to think about what you don't want your daughter to become. And I say to people, I'm a mother of sons. My sons will never be afraid of a strong wife because of who I am. It is likely that they couldn't deal with a woman who wasn't strong. So you have that responsibility. You need to define it. And all I will say is, again, is that this is distilling the book. The book is out there. It's normally sold for 5,000, but I give 20% discount to Cowsol today because I believe that I have become honorary member of your group. So, so it's out there. It's available. I will advise. I never wrote a book for money. I'm a chartered accountant. How many books can you sell? But I believe that we need to place information in the hands of the young and ourselves. So please buy the books for your children, for your wards, for your cousins, for your nieces. Buy the books. They are in the exhibition hall.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Fumi Salami. Oye Tunji Ukshunu Miss Salami. Thank you so much. Once again, we have come to the end of this session, and we know that whatever comes our way, there are no mistakes, only lessons to be learned. On that note, we want to thank the First Lady of Lagos State, Her Excellency Mrs. Bolanle Ambode, for the opportunity to stand before you, wonderful Nigerian women. We wish you a very successful conference and a very wonderful, successful journey in life. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Please could you put your hands together for Mrs. Toyin Awosheyi as she comes up to the podium. I'd like to invite the speaker. She'll be talking about successful marriages need passion and perseverance. Please put your hands together for the founder and chairperson of Relate Africa Organization for Marriage and Family, Mrs. Bridget Isueli.
Good afternoon, distinguished women, honorable women that have found time to be here with us today. Basically, this kind of a conference without this topic cannot be complete. You'll all agree with me here that marriage is the only institution that you go into with a certificate already received from the day one. It is also the only institution that there are no two of its kind. Every marriage has its own vibes in its own sense. I just want to employ all of us seated here. I know we have a lot of veterans amongst us. But by the time you listen to our guest speaker, I know we'll all go home with something new about the institution called marriage. As I hand over the microphone to our guest speaker, Mrs. Bridget Isueli. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much, sir. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very honored to be with you this afternoon. to share on an area that is most important for the world. Most important for the world, not just for women, but for the entire world. A Chief Justice in America says that marriage is so important, such a stronghold and foundation for marriage, that government cannot cease to forget about it. And so you find that in most parts of the world, developed parts of the world, government has a standing committee on marriage and family. And so the sooner we begin to see marriage not just as something we as women want, but something that society needs, otherwise it won't work. I want us to, there's an old-fashioned proverb which started in the early years of the women suffragettes. And it says, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. I want to say to you, when I say the hand that rocks the cradle, you will say rules the world. The hand that rocks the cradle, which means you rule the world. When we are in our homes, in our marriages, it doesn't look like that. It feels as if we're victims, as if we're perpetually chained not to change the world. The lady who gave us the vote of thanks said we can change the world. Yes, we can. The world begins where you are. You are a microcosm of the world. The world is your family. Change it, and your family goes and changes the next family and changes the next family, and before you know it, we have a groundswell of changes. Marriage is important, but let's define marriage. Marriage is a union of a man and a woman. Gracious me, that's a very dry definition. But it's a definition we know. It's a definition we've seen. In today's world, life has changed very much. Different from what it used to be. There are many of us women here, and I'm speaking to all of you. We are going to look at marriages. There are traditional marriages, there are civil marriages, and there are religious marriages. Each of them different from the other in the expectations and in the way of life it's to be carried out. But the thing that is constant in all of them is the expectation of the woman. Marriage has become an interpersonal relationship between a man and a woman. Even when there are other women, even in polygamy or polyandry, you would find that there is a personal relationship between the husband and each woman. What constitutes success in that situation for that woman? In a religious marriage where they say you have to stay in the marriage because there is no divorce, what constitutes success for a marriage in a woman in that situation? This is what we're looking at today. In the olden days, what we call the agrarian economy, all that a woman is expected to do is grow up and marry, have children, and that's it. But when you think about it, that's also the same as the man. He grows up, goes to the farm, succeeds in his business in the agrarian economy, and then takes a chieftaincy title, and that's it. So very much has changed in the 20th and 21st century in Nigeria. We are no longer in the agrarian economy where it is the power and the brawn of a man that matters. We are now in an economic situation where making money depends on your brain, depends on your power to define your purpose, identify who you are, identify what you want from marriage, and let it fit in with building a strong community. And so what is the issue? For a successful marriage, the first thing is, why do I want to marry? Earlier on, we listened to our last speaker tell us we have to define our purpose. Yes, of course. Why are you marrying? Many women are pushed into marriage because just go and have children, just go and have children. And they get there and they see how unhappy they are. Or they get there, they realize that there are other things they want, not only having children. And they begin to feel guilty. There are many women who feel guilty that they want something other than children and husband. And more than 60% of women, even rural women, are beginning to discover that for many of us, having children and having a husband is not all we want from life. The fact that it is the major output in terms of what a woman is expected to do. She must marry, she must have children. But the truth of the matter is, marriage is a personal relationship between a man and a woman. And so, if that personal relationship does not bring you satisfaction, if after having children, you are not happy with what you have, what happens is dejection. There are many married women, over 30%, who live in depression in their marriages. This is a very serious indictment of society. One of the things I like about conferences help you discuss issues. They may not solve it, but they throw out issues for you to think through. And so as you listen this morning and you heard that women must have a purpose, women must define their purpose, I am saying to you, you're already in a marriage, you probably did not define your purpose for getting married. But if your purpose for getting married does not align with your purpose in life, you aren't going to be happy. We're seeing that happening in a lot of young girls who are getting married now. They know what they want, but society has caged them into an old-fashioned expectation of what marriage is. So this is how I see marriage. A complex union of man and woman in various constructs. It is important to look, in which marriage am I? What kind of marriage am I in? Am I in a traditional marriage? What are the ethos and terms of that marriage? For if you have to live within that context, you have to see how it works with your dream to be whoever you are. And by the way, you are allowed to only dream to be a mother and a wife. That's fantastic. If that's what your dream is, I applaud you. But there are other women for whom it's not enough. This is why today I'm looking at marriage. And I'm saying, what is it that a woman brings into her marriage that makes her happy? Only you can design that. No one can help you. You are the only one who can say at each point of your development and your growth, this is what I want, and be able to negotiate and deal with it with your spouse. Now, that brings us to the last question someone asked. I have a problem when women design and define what they want. They find that either in-laws or their husbands stop them. And that's the situation we have in many homes. And the women do not know how to navigate that situation. It's either you navigate it to your detriment, or you live with it to your detriment. It seems as if there is no choice. And what I've realized, and I'd like to share with you, has to deal with something you and I can change. Why is it that we have raised men? Why have women who rule the world through being the ones that raise a child firsthand? Why is it that we have raised men who depend on the subjugation of women to feel like men? Why does a man need to subjugate a woman, bring a woman to total submission before he feels like a man? Something is wrong with that upbringing. In other words, we cannot define manhood separate from womanhood, and yet that's false. Manhood has nothing to do with womanhood. It's integral on its own, complete and full on its own. But a lot of men in our environment, and all over the world for that matter, feel that until they have a yes sir, yes my husband, yes Lord, and do exactly what he says, that their manhood is challenged. Why? This is your responsibility and mine. The last speaker says she has raised a son who can cope, who does not see his manhood in terms of, I must subjugate a woman. And why do we fuel it? We are the women who fuel it. We raise the men like that. We raise them not to have dignity apart from subjugating a woman. And so a man gets married, and nowadays it's getting more and more. The wife has a great degree, has a great job, and earns more than the husband. And the husband is upset. Why is she earning more than me? But for goodness sake, she went to university like you. Her parents invested in her. And so we need to start having these discussions if we want marriage to succeed. Because what's happening now is many women are walking out of their marriages, threatening the very fabric of society. We can't allow that. Marriage is so important. Not only is it where we raise children, it is where we build character, and it is where we prepare leaders for our nation and for the world. And therefore, as women, we need to enter into small discussions. What is it we need to do to raise men who do not need me to be subject to them before they feel like they're men? And this is something I don't have the answers, but what I'd like to say is we better start thinking about that. Or else, the fabric of marriage will be completely torn, and we will have nothing but shreds in our hands as various women, dissatisfied, go on and do exactly what they want to do, not minding the fact that society needs this marriage. So what makes success in marriage? Passion. What is passion? Passion is an emotional component, and it's typical of human behavior. The neurosciences have come up with a lot of discoveries. The first one is that children have 80% of their adult brain by the time they are 2 years old. The second one is that men and women think differently. Men think with their right brain, and women think with their left brain. It therefore means that we don't come at issues in the same way. So women have to know this and know how to engineer the things they want for their lives. If you don't, you won't negotiate. The man refuses to negotiate. There's nothing you can do. But if you learn that he thinks rationally, and therefore you can address that from the point of the way he thinks and the way he sees things, and teach him how you see things, then the negotiation will be easier. So if women think with the left brain, it then means that our emotions founded on that side, our sentiments founded on that side, are very powerful tools that we have. If a woman does not feel passionate about her marriage, then she's living below standard. Your marriage should give you joy and should give you happiness. Suppose it doesn't, what can you do about it? A lot. You can do a lot. You can go home from this conference and say to your spouse, I have just realized that I have a purpose in my life, and I would like you to help me achieve it. I have not been able to articulate it until now, but please, my husband, I want to keep our marriage. I want everything to be wonderful in this relationship. I want to be able to cook your food happily. I want to be able to raise our children happily. But can you please just hear me? We need to have that dialogue. And unless there is that dialogue, there can be no passion. Where there is passion, the total being of a person has been sown into that project. The total me is in a project that I have passion and I believe in. Many women are in marriage, they hardly believe in the marriage in which they are because it is not giving them the joy that they want. I'd like to pick up on the last speaker. Until we see marriage as something that gives us joy, we cannot have passion. And if we do not have passion, we cannot have successful marriages. Living your life apart from your spouse is not an answer. The University of Stanford did a research, and they came up with the fact that marriage is the place where we get the most fulfillment and happiness. And if your marriage is not making you happy, you must negotiate it. It is not allowed that you sit down and don't. The point is how. The how is always the problem. It is the how you can go back and think about after this conference. What I love conferences like this for is that they allow me to do the 4 Ds. D for discuss, like we're doing now. D for digest, like I'm hoping that we're going to do with the questions. D for discern the action that I need to do. And the 4th D, do that action. So the 4 Ds of a conference: discuss, digest, discern, and do. Very important. Discuss, digest, discern, and do. If we leave this conference without having looked at ourselves, you heard about purpose with the last speaker. I was sharing with her, the experience she has is similar to the experience I have. If you meet 2 people getting married, they are not married yet, and you ask them, the boy and the girl, why do you love this girl? The boy will say, I can see that she cooks well, and she makes me truly happy. She doesn't argue with me. If you ask the girl, she'll say, I love him. What do you love him for? I just love him. That is already the genesis of the problem. You can't just love a person. Ask yourself today, why do I love the man I am living with or I'm married to? And celebrate that with passion. As you celebrate that, you celebrate yourself because you've made a wonderful choice. You are celebrating your choice. And as you celebrate your choice, you would see passion coming in a little at a time. There are many dead marriages. I see couples, at least 10 couples a week. And they walk in here and their faces are, just sad. And as they walk out of my office, they realize that indeed, we can make each other happy. We can put passion in this relationship. Passion cannot be established by one person. Let's not tell a lie about that. You cannot have passion when the man you are living with doesn't understand you and is not in a personal relationship with you. We each seek love, women in particular. And yet we do not communicate this to our spouses or the people we are dating. And now men have this erroneous behavior, idea, that give them money and they're fine. Just give women money. What a lie. What rubbish. Give women money. Women who have money know that money does not make anyone happy. What makes a woman happy is to sit with the man she's engaging with and he listen to her heartbeats. That is what love means. Love is not romance. I kiss you, I hold you. No. The heart of a woman is heavy with the need to be loved. And loving is not any Valentine show. Loving is the way he wants to have sex with you, that helps, makes you feel special. Not use you like a bottle of Coca-Cola and fling you out. These discussions must be held. I held a conference on sex, a seminar on sex in family. Sex is the one area of passion, but it's dead in many families. So how can there be passion? I don't know what passion is if sex isn't about inspiring passion. But you know what? I took statistics that day of the women in that room, and sexual relationships with women, 0. 99.9% of the women at that conference said, sorry about sex, please give it up. I mean, it doesn't feature in my life. My husband just does what he likes and I sit there. It reminded me of a book I read by a Senegalese woman, Mariama Ba. And she said, it's when her husband, that there's no personal relationship between them. Nothing called personal. So when she is going to have sex with him, What do they do? What does she do? That is when she picks the difficult part of her teeth and uses chewing stick to clean her teeth while he's having sex. Can you beat that? Because there is no person. Women are attachment oriented. Nothing can change our emotional need to hang on to someone, to be supported by someone else. Don't deny who you are. You need love. You want to be loved. You want to be listened to. You want to be heard. Whether you're in a polygamous marriage, a monogamous marriage, a traditional marriage, or a church marriage, every woman's desire as you are sitting here is to be loved. And loving is to listen to your heartbeat. That is what will fan your passion into flame. Passion is not a word, it is a movement of the heart. Passion means strong emotion of like and a force with which I do things that I enjoy. And so women, let's stop denying ourselves. Men are very rational. Women marry the first man who says I love you, or who just loves them. When women find a man they love, they marry. A man can find a woman he loves for 8 years and not marry. He will only marry when he's ready to marry. And he may have dated a girl for 8 years, and the girl is tired of waiting and goes on and says, you are wasting my time. And 9 months later he marries, because her leaving him made him realize that, oh, now I am ready for marriage. So remember this as you talk to your daughters. Men marry when they are ready. Women marry when they find the man they love. Which is why a woman will say, I love him. But can we please change the narrative? Can the narrative be, I love him because. And as you're sitting here, I'm asking you to think, why do you love your spouse? Just write it down, one word. What is that gift he has that attracted you to him? If you haven't congratulated him on it, go home tonight and say to him, I thought about you and the things I loved about you, and I'd just like to tell you, you are a special person because this, that, and that. You would have been fanning your passion into flame. Women, we can change the world. We can. It is not just a story. When we are able to communicate our soul and our heart, and it is in constant dialogue with this man we've chosen to spend our lives, then you will find passion to do the other things you want to do. The next one is perseverance. What is perseverance? Perseverance is an act of your will. In many marriage ceremonies, and according to the ordinance and according to most churches, you are asked, will you take this woman? And you say, I will. Marriage moves us out from the I feel to the I will. And so marriage is an act of my will, and perseverance is a supreme act of the will. So it means that I enter into that relationship, my heart is open, and everything is coming. I'm negotiating with my spouse. We are discussing it. I am recognizing I am a person that needs a response from the other person. And I don't negotiate it. It's not an option. It's not an option. Many women are too sad. You go into some Yaba mental home, there are more women there. And if you ask them what made them, well, they came in here, one woman who kept saying, calling her husband's name, calling her husband's name. That's all she does as she's washing her hands. And so don't do this to yourself. The first sign that we are educated is that we're able to come and sit down and negotiate something and teach our daughters how to do so without dying or killing marriage. Women are the upholders of marriage. Women are the primary educators of their children, supported by their husbands. We must never free our husbands from the responsibility to raise the children with us. It's very important that you realize that for perseverance to exist, there has to be roles. What do I do? What do you do? And you stick to what you are doing no matter what. Many women, I tell them when I talk to them, they say, oh, my husband is doing this, doing this. I said, decide in your mind, what do you want? What do you want? Go to him and negotiate. And once you've said that, stop being emotional, get on with it. And so we find that many of us harbor resentment. There can be no perseverance if there's resentment and unforgiveness. I went to give a talk somewhere and they were all gaily dressed. They told me it was a marriage seminar. So I had gone to talk on resentment. When I saw every husband and wife looking happy, I thought, this is not a place to talk about spousal resentment. So as I told them, I said, look, what I prepared is not what I'm going to share. They said, what did you prepare? I said, unforgiveness and resentment. The men shouted, give us that talk, we want it. And when I said to the women, many of you are sitting here filled with resentment against your husbands. Will all those who feel envy, women are jealous of their husbands. Women are envious of their husbands. Women are resentful of their husbands because they were not able to achieve. They feel the man has blocked them from achieving what they want to achieve. Nobody blocks you. You are the architect of your own fortune. You are born into the world, you probably will die alone. And therefore your trajectory over this world means being able to negotiate the all-important character of marriage. Marriage is important, please don't shelve it. Do not kill marriages. We need marriages to sustain our nation. But I also know that you need to be happy. Is it time up? I know you need to be happy. I know you need to persevere, but you cannot persevere in a vacuum. You have to do something about it. You have to take a step today. Thank you for listening.
Mo kí ẹ̀yin iyọ̀ ayé tẹ́ wà níkàlẹ̀, mo kí gbogbo àwa obìnrin tó jẹ́ adùn ayé ni wá. Arábìnrin Bridget Ituesiles bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ lórí kí ló ń ṣàfihàn àṣeyọrí nínú ìgbéyàwó. Wọ́n sọ oríṣi ìlànà ìgbéyàwó mẹ́ta tó wà: ẹ̀sìn, ti òfin, ti ìbílẹ̀. Wọ́n wá ní báwo lóníkálukú wá ṣe rí ìgbéyàwó wa sí. Ọwọ́ wo la fi mú ìgbéyàwó wa? Ohun tó dáni lójú, òun náà lèèyàn nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí. Wọ́n wá ní obìnrin gbọ́dọ̀ múra síṣẹ́ o, kó sì tún nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí, torí pé iṣẹ́ ńlá náà ni iṣẹ́ ìgbéyàwó, ilé ẹ̀kọ́ ńlá ni. Wọ́n wá sọ bá ṣe lè ní ìfarasí, bó ṣe lè pọ̀ tó. Kódà wọ́n tún sọ àwọn nǹkan tó mú ìfàsẹ́yìn bá ìgbéyàwó. Obìnrin gbọ́dọ̀ mọ ìdí tóun ṣe fẹ́ ṣègbéyàwó yẹn. Ó tún gbọ́dọ̀ wòye irúfẹ́ ọkùnrin àti ẹbí tóun fẹ́ wọ̀. A gbọ́dọ̀ mọ èròǹgbà ọkùnrin wa, ká mọ ìwòye wọn pẹ̀lú, ká lè ní àjọṣepọ̀ tó dánmọ́rán, ká ní ètò lórí ìbáraẹnisọ̀rọ̀ àti ìfikùnlukùn. Wọ́n ní eléyìí ó ṣe kókó o. Wọ́n wá ní ọ̀rọ̀ gbogbo àwọn obìnrin ká ní ìpamọ́ra, ká lẹ́mìí ìfaradà, ká ní ẹ̀mí ìgbàmọ́ra gan pẹ̀lú. Wọ́n wá ní ká tọ́ àwọn ọmọ wa ọkùnrin, nítorí pé tó bá tún di ọjọ́ ọ̀la, àwọn ló máa fẹ́ àwọn ọmọ wa obìnrin. Àti kékeré ńkọ́ la ti ń pẹ̀ka àrókò, ká tọ́ àwọn ọmọ wa o, kí ìdílé aláyọ̀ kó túbọ̀ máa tẹ̀síwájú sí i. Àkótán ọ̀ràn wọn ni pé àwọn obìnrin a ní ipa pàtàkì láti kó, torí omi àánú tí Ọlọ́run ti fi sí wa lójú. Àwa gbọ́dọ̀ ṣàmúlò ẹ̀bùn tẹ́lẹ́dùà àti fún wa yìí, ká fi gbé ìgbésẹ̀ tó máa fún wa láyọ̀. Ìdílé wa túbọ̀ máa lóyin ládùn sí o.
It's very, very crucial and essential for all of us. It's the bane of our society. If we get our marriages right, we'll get the society right. And our guest speaker, she's a veteran on this issue. She can go all day if we give her the time. But I believe for all of us today, we're going to go home with the 4 Ds, as she has instituted. The 4 Ds for a successful marriage. We need to discuss. If you know something is going wrong in your marriage, even if something is not going wrong, you just need to talk with that guy that you're married to. You need to digest it. Whatever you're going through, let's talk it. Let's see it. Let's feel it. We need to discern. As a woman, yes, we are always jealous of our husbands, but then we need that discerning spirit too. And the fourth one, we need to do it. We need to make it happen. Don't let us sit and say, yes, tomorrow it will change. On this note, I know we have a lot of people who want to ask questions. If you have any question, please signify by the raise of your hand.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kafilat Ogbara. I want to say that I listened to the talk, and it's like we are not speaking to African women. We cannot remove our culture and our religion from our marriages. As a Muslim, I am made to know and believe that I have to be submissive to my husband. And for Yoruba culture too, they will tell you, Okololowo ori aya. I am in a 24 years marriage. I have 5 children, and I am still in my marriage. The longer it is does not mean that it cannot break. Accepted. But I want to tell you that I find a lot of strength in my submission to my husband. So I want you to educate more women on how they can be submissive to their husbands and gather their strength for being submissive. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies. My name is OMOTAYO. She just took a word or two out of my mouth, but there's something different I want to say. I've always believed that the traditional African beliefs and culture sometimes run contrary to the interest of marriage. And that has always been a problem for me. For instance, you hear some women of old telling their sons, and that means a man should not allow the wife to know everything about him. If your wife doesn't know everything about you, then who should know? And apart from that, they say some other things that is not in the interest of marriage. How do we succeed at changing such negative cultural beliefs and practices that are not in the interest of marriage? Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Ma. My question is this. The word perseverance, endurance, I'm afraid we have to use this word with care, particularly for the sake of our daughters. Our parents are fond of telling us, foriti, toriba lo fonko. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Ma. My name is Toyin Anjus Ademuyiwa. You said something about changing the narrative. I was asked to speak to a bunch of 22 to 35-year-old single women in Lagos in 2014. There was about 800 women there, including their moms. And during that conference, it was about personal relationship with the opposite sex. And I asked the question, what are you looking for in a partner? And I asked them to write it down and let's project it. And the first 3 lines is, I want a man in oil and gas. I want a man that has a big name. I want a man that can buy me a car. I want a man that's already rich. And I said to the audience, and I asked them, do you like what we projected? And they were clapping and happy and said yes. And I said to them, if I was a man in Nigeria, I will not marry you. Because if you want a man in oil and gas, you go into oil and gas. You go and have your own money. The problem we have in this country is that we've not changed the narratives when we're raising our children. We are giving them a definition of what womanhood is like when it comes to dealing with the opposite sex. And the matter is, listen, men in Nigeria are not going to respect our women for as long as their perception is about us wanting to take. So I love what you said when you said, we must define who we are. You must know exactly who you are. A man that is not comfortable in his own skin cannot be with a strong woman. And like the previous speaker said, her son will not, definitely not be with a woman that is not strong because of the way she has raised the son. So we need to change the narratives as mothers. The pressure that we put on our daughters is mind-blowing. Thank you very much.
My name is Mrs. Ayo Shuboale. I am worried about a particular question, that if the marriage is not making you happy, you negotiate. We have women that have negotiated, and they're still renegotiating, and the marriage is still not working, and they are not happy. So what advice will you give that kind of a woman? And number two, you said a woman is jealous of the man. I'm not clear about that particular aspect. Thank you.
Your Excellencies and the great women of Cowsol. Thank you very much, the speaker, for today. We've learned so much. Statistics will tell us that after 10 years of marriage, that marriage is likely to be a success. But for me, I believe after 30-something years of marriage, I believe that that marriage is still evolving. It's like a discovery channel. Every day, you learn new things. I want to identify with what the speaker said about the character building, and to say that marriage is one of the institutions that there is you build your character. It teaches you how to love. If you don't know how to love, when you get there, you will have to be forced to love. It is one institution that you will learn to acquire the wisdom from God. It's not wisdom from the world, because the wisdom from the world, I'm talking of wisdom from us, from the religious perspective. We have a God. And what is God saying about your marriage? It is one area where you learn about tolerance. If you are not tolerant, when you get to marriage, you have to learn to be tolerant. So, but what is happening now is that our values have changed. Now, our children, they are supposed to see us as role model when you are in a marriage. That is what we have to do. To be the role model, either for the son or for the daughter. It's not just about the sons, also about the daughters. We need to teach them that when they get to this marriage, they are going there, they are going to lessons of life. They will be taught those lessons. And so, I thank the speaker for what you have said about passion. Passion is a compelling emotion. It can either be for love or for hate. Marriage, when we have that passion for our marriage, we try as much as possible to tolerate the person that God has given to us as our husband. But if it happens when you have a situation like domestic violence, I'm not going to say any woman should stay in a marriage where she is likely to be hurt or to be maimed for life. When it gets to that situation, you have to seek counsel. If you have to separate for a particular, just for a period, you have to do that. Because we have had cases where some women have been killed, where they have been murdered just because they decided to stay and persevere in that marriage. So I think we should draw a distinction between the excess, when there is that excess, and we mothers, we must teach our children, especially the sons, they must not raise their hands against their wives. And we must also teach our women, we are mother-in-laws, allow them to allow them to live. We should not come in between our daughter-in-laws and our sons. Let's allow them the freedom that we have in our marriage. Allow them to grow. Allow them to love. Allow them to have their own independence. And if we do that, we'll have a better place concerning marriage. Thank you very much. Great to you.
I knew it. I'm sure this will be the most exciting topic of the day. Everybody loves what is good, and marriage is good, and marriage must be successful for a successful society. So I'm going to hand over to our guest speaker. They've asked a series of questions, but I look around and honestly, the category of women here, a lot of us are over 20 years in marriage. Looking around, and like what the last speaker said, anything after 10 years in marriage, they will always tell us it will stand. You've gone through the first 10 years. But I agree with her. Every day, new things comes up. If a man has money, he's a different character. If a man does not have money, he's a different character. So, that is what the society places on us. So we need to manage it. And we need to stay in it. We need to persevere. We need that passion. We need it to glow. Because when you see a happy married woman, you will see that glow in her. Take it or leave it. You will see it in her. And when you see a woman who is struggling, who is really covering it up, we need to talk. And that is why we are here. And thank God for Cowsol. Thank God for this topic. And I know as we are living, we're all going to know that love is time and time is love. Whatever you have time for, you love it. And whatever you don't have time for, you don't love it. So for your man to have time for you, you've got to create that platform that will bring him onto you. When we were growing up, I'm 36 years in marriage. I married young. But one thing my mother told me, and I hold on to it, is that, Toyin, you've got to have something that you will hold on to, that wherever your husband goes, he will always come home. Because he will know that no other person can give him that thing. It might be sex. It might be how you cook. It might be how you look. Whatever you know that is you, hold on to it. Hold on to it very fast. And whatever, wherever you are, that man, with prayers, with God, he will always come home. And our society will be a better place. Our marriages will be successful. And we will all glow as gracious women. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your inspiring questions. One, let us agree here that us in this room are a generation in transition. We are caught in two worlds, and therefore we are the pioneers somehow of the kind of life and marriage that a woman wants. The agrarian, farmer and herding economy of the past defined the kind of situation they wanted. Now we have to define and design it. What makes a woman happy has to be in the component of what marriage is. I am not talking about the past. I am talking about from today to the future. Because if we say that our culture is stuck in the mud, it doesn't change, it will be an anachronistic one and marriage will die. But African marriage has certain key things. But I want you to remember that you here are locked in a transitory stage where it's almost you are a contradiction to what the tradition believes and to what you are seeing in modernity. But we're in modernity now, and it calls all of us, it challenges us to massage our received culture in a way that benefits us, benefits marriage, and benefits the world. If we don't, and we continue to carry the agrarian idea of marriage, in spite of the knowledge today, in spite of the desires of our hearts, then we are going to break marriages and we will have scattered African families. And so the responsibility is ours. I hear that question about being asked to be submissive. Every culture, including even in England, the male nature is to seek to be respected, but not to be defined by the subjugation of the wife. If a man says, I am only a man when my wife submits to me, he is denying his own manhood and placing it on the table of his wife. In fact, he is being submissive to the woman. We want men who are strong men, good men, men who can raise their children, men who can listen to the heartbeats of their wives, and with the overarching big arm that they have, protect and include her in the family plan. That's the only way it's going to work in modernity. You can't take us back to 1889. We are shifting and moving. And if you don't, it's shifting sands. If you don't move, I don't know if you've seen quicksands. The change in the world is like quicksand. If you stay in one place, you'll be drowned by the sand. So you have to keep moving. Looking at what, first of all, matters to a woman. Women, please define what matters to you. Part of it is that we women are also the problem. If you meet a girl who is 30 and hasn't married, you say, what are you still waiting for? Will she propose to the man? Men run away from women who propose to them. So when you are judging a lady who is 30 for not getting married, what precisely is your idea? When you are the mother-in-law of a woman who has no children, and you are the one castigating her, forgetting that she may have other gifts and other wealth that she can bring to your family. Women, whether they have children or not, are nurturers. It's not about children only. Whether you have children or not, married or single, women, in the way we are made, we are nurturers. Therefore, go back to your innate self. Submission, if you use the etymology of the word, one of my studies was in English, and we always looked at the meanings of words. And the meaning of word submit is not what we're defining it as. Submission means I hand over myself to you for safekeeping, not for you to step over me, slap me, and beat me. Let me explain the word submit. If you go to the embassy, to the American embassy, and you want a visa, you want to go to America, are you going to take your visa to the French embassy, your passport to the French embassy? No. You submit it in the right place. So there is a right man to submit to, and there's a wrong man to submit to. You are too precious to submit yourself to a crank. You can't. It is gross irresponsibility to leave yourself in the hand of someone who cannot care for you. Submission has, as the root word, meaning of that word, handing myself to someone who will care for it. If you do an exam and you have to submit your paper to the examiner, and you did, and the next day you discover that the examiner, when he was carrying the question paper, and all of them flew into a gutter and went away, you'll be sad. You submitted yourself to the wrong. That person was totally an irresponsible examiner. So none of us submits something, paper, ordinary paper. When you submit to the embassy, try and be at an embassy and see when visa is rejected. The person cries as if they don't have a country. But the truth of the matter is, submission means that I hand myself over to you. A submissive attitude means that I am willing to trust you because you have shown me the signs that you can be trusted. So submission is a good thing in marriage. Okay. So this is it. Changing negative mindsets is something we have to do. It's not going to happen in a hurry. I know many young women are in a hurry to have their mindset to change the world today, but we start gradually. Lasting things are gradual. This conference for me is an innovation at which we are talking about marriage, sex, the kind of husband I want, the kind of woman I want to be. I do not want to be that woman that if I'm not married, you just say no. So then the next one, endurance. Should I endure while it's killing me? Every woman knows where her limit is. Take a decision. That's why we're here. We can't tell you what to do. If you've negotiated, and it's not working, take a decision that suits your spirit. But be mindful that you do not break the concept of love for your children. Very important. Do not create enemies of their dad or of their mom. That's very, very important. Sustaining the family ideal, whether you stay in the marriage or not, becomes the purpose and the passion of any such woman in any such situation. Finally, you want me to explain jealous of a husband? What I mean is, because men have so much power in the marriage to do as they like, women who are not able to negotiate find themselves sad and resentful of their husband's move. He's able to get what he wants. He has the money, he can go out, he goes wherever he likes, he doesn't take me. We must fight jealousy. With jealousy, you cannot forgive. Forgiveness that has lining of jealousy kills the soul, both of the man that you're married to and of yourself. Thank you so much for listening. This is why I set up Relate Africa Organization for Marriage. I set it up 2 years ago. I thought we need to set up an NGO for marriage. And I have done that. And we're from there taking the message round that women, know yourselves, know what you want, plan for it, plan your marriage the way you want it to be, and live it. Remember, discuss, digest, discern action, and do it. God bless you.
The next topic is on planning for retirement. Chairman of the session is no other person other than the permanent secretary in the Deputy Governor's office, a fantastic woman. Please put your hands together for Mrs. Odejayi Yetunde. And the speaker is the Managing Director of FSDH Asset Management Limited, a subsidiary of FSDH Merchant Bank. She holds a Bachelor's of Science in Accounting from Obafemi Awolowo University and is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. She rose through the corporate ladder at FSDH to become the Managing Director of Asset Management, having served in various units of the bank, such as the Risk Management and Research Unit. She is a member of the Fund Managers Association of Nigeria. She has attended several courses and workshops on financial markets and is registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission as a capital market operator. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as I welcome Mrs. Mayowa Ogunwemimo.
With the passion His Excellency, our excellent governor, as for pensioners in the state. You will recall that when he came in, he promised that he was going to make sure that pensioners get their payments as at when due. And they have been clearing the backlogs of pension arrears since he came. Join me to clap for His Excellency, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode. And Her Excellency, we have to thank her for allowing these topics to come to bear. Many of us do not plan for retirement. There are so many things wrong in the way we go on with our lives. And this has implications at the end of our lives. Now, I believe we are going to learn a lot from Mrs. Ogunwebimo's lecture. I will also learn a lot. Then, she has told me that I should enjoin you to just make sure that your questions are brief and straight to the point. She's going to take just 5 questions after our papers. Please enjoy the lecture with us. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Your Excellency. I'll crave your indulgence to stand on existing protocols. I feel honored to be talking to women today about planning our finances and planning for retirement, because this is a topic that it seems only men are interested in. We've had the narratives that it's men that talk about the money, that make the money. But in 2018, many women are actually making lots of money, and we need to plan for how we're going to then live our lives after retirement. I'd like to start by looking at what financial planning actually means to us, because planning for retirement is, planning our finances is critical to planning for our retirement. And someone once said, financial planning is actually that process of meeting your life's goals through proper management of your finances. And basically, it's putting things in perspective towards meeting our lives after we retire. I like talking about planning for the future and planning for our retirement using the stories of people that we are familiar with. I tell a lot of stories, actually. And one of the stories that I typically tell when I'm talking about planning our finances and planning for our retirement is stories of people that we know of. The story I'm going to share today is of a musician that I'm certain most of us in this room have heard of. I'm sure we all know of Toni Braxton. She was a 6-time Grammy Award winner who earned over $170 million in record sales. Rough calculation, that takes us about 61 billion naira. And I would have said, with 61 billion naira, I don't even need to plan for retirement. My retirement has already been sorted out. But we looked at her life and we realized a few years down the line, she filed for bankruptcy twice, which makes us realize that if we do not deliberately plan our future and plan for things that will happen when we are no longer able to work actively and earn an income, then life just happens to us. We've also taken a look to say, as women, what are the things that we actually spend the bulk of our income on? And at times, we need to be able to balance between what I really want and what are needs. In most cases, we get carried away by the things that are really not needed, but are things that we want. And we've over the span of my career, we've looked at a number of things we actually spend things on as women. Oh, I love beautifully dressed people. I actually copy lots of styles when I see such dressed people. But the truth of the matter is we need to be able to judge between, is this a want or is this a need? Particularly because at every point in our lives, even when we start our career, we need to realize a few years down the line, I will not be in active employment. I need to plan for that time. We shouldn't start planning for retirement when we are 50 or when we are 45 or when we are 30 years in service. We should start planning for our retirement the day we get our first paycheck, because very quickly life passes by. We talked about a number of advice regarding planning for our retirement, and it's really get professional advice and get it early, because these are the things that will help us in making the right investment decisions. A number of steps that we usually will advise on in planning for retirement is making sure that, I think the first step is really assessing where you are today. We call it preparing your personal balance sheet, which is really saying, how much am I worth? how much do I owe? And that is where to start from. And it's from there that we can then start saying, oh, I have X number of years left in active service. If I want to maintain my lifestyle after active service, what are the sort of decisions I need to start taking today? We need to identify what our goals are. And as women, we have various goals. We have our personal goals. We have goals that affect our children. We need to determine what those goals are. And it's best to actually write them down so that we can focus on what those goals will be and stick to them. We've also advised that we need to get advice from certified financial advisors. Truth of the matter is, if I want advice regarding education, I know who to go to. If I want advice regarding my health, I would probably talk to a doctor. So in terms of getting advice for finances, we will always advise go to the financial experts, because they can then advise you, this is how you should plan your money. This is what you need to do to make sure that post-retirement you're able to live a life that it's worthy of the life you're currently living now. We talk about designing a plan and sticking to that plan. We've also looked at scenarios to say, look, for someone who is planning his or her, in this case, someone who's planning for her retirement, what are the actual investment options you should be looking at? And over the years, we've actually worked with people who are planning their retirement, and we have seen that because one of the major advice we give is never to put all your eggs in one basket and diversify your risk. There are a number of instruments we usually say have in your portfolio. Now, I understand clearly that there's the compulsory retirement, the compulsory pension that is made on our behalf, but truthfully, that should be the minimum for all of us. We should take responsibility for our own lives, and we should put something aside above and beyond the compulsory retirement, the compulsory contribution made to our retirement benefits. Truth is, if we look at the balances we all have on our RSA accounts, we should ask ourselves that question: is this sufficient for me to live the kind of life I want to live post-retirement? And if our answer is no, and I can bet that the answer for most people in this room will be no, then we need to have our own personal pension plan. And the only way to do that is to then consciously make sure we have additional savings beyond the compulsory pension that is being made on our behalf. And thankfully, we know that in Lagos State, those contributions are actually being made. But let's also put something aside for ourselves. Truth of the matter is that in planning for life after active service, many of the things that we have actually put our money on today may not be able to ensure that we're able to sustain our lives after retirement. And we have what we have done is to then say, look, in coming up with how we can ensure that after retirement we have enough finances to rely on, we usually say, look, make sure you have investment in different investment classes. And so we have a number of things that people actually invest in. And so we're saying beyond the pension plan, make sure you have your own personal savings. Make sure you have your own personal investments. It's something that we know a lot of men actually consciously do. But I think it's important that women also come to that consciousness. It's not only men that should be planning on their money. It's not only men that should be planning on, oh, what do I do once my salaries are paid? Women also need to take conscious decisions when it comes to money, because we are all going to retire. Not only the men will retire, the women also will retire. And we want to make sure that as women, we're able to retain that standard of living that we have maintained while we were in our active service. And so there are different options available to us. You have investments in fixed income, in equities, in real estate. There's so many things that are available in the Nigerian market today for us to take advantage of. And I was just enjoying all of us. There are some of them, they're actually basic investments. So please don't let anybody come and use big words and let's feel, oh, they are talking above my head. Oh, it's not for my class. It's not for me. All these investments can be broken down to simple English, simple, even can be broken down in our local dialects, because it's really money. We may call it any fancy name. It's just money. So basically, it's for us to be able to decide what kind of life. And I think the question starts with, what kind of lifestyle do I want to maintain after I retire from active service? What kind of lifestyle do I want to have when I'm no longer able to get up at 8 a.m. and go to work? We need to make those decisions today, now that we're in service. Our retirement plan cannot be that my children will take care of me. Really, that is not a retirement plan. A retirement plan cannot be that my husband will take care of me. It is not a retirement plan. We as individuals, as independent women, need to consciously make retirement plans for ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ogunwebimo.
Mo kí wa kú kalẹ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí a kú àtàárọ̀ a ti gbọ́ ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ lórí ìgbáradìde ìfẹ̀yìntì lẹ́nu iṣẹ́. Ní ìgbáradìde ìfẹ̀yìntì a gbọ́dọ̀ kọ́kọ́ ní èròǹgbà tá a máa ṣiṣẹ́ lé lórí. Kí lè èròǹgbà tiyín? A gbọ́dọ̀ ní èròǹgbà tó dára torí pé ìnáwó tara wa ó máa ń pọ̀, ìnáwó mọ̀lẹ́bí, ìnáwó okòwò kéréje. Nítorí náà a gbọ́dọ̀ nírònú ohun tó yẹ ká ṣe ká má bàa tún jìyà ìrówó ná lẹ́yìn ìfẹ̀yìntì lẹ́nu iṣẹ́. Olùṣesí ìná òtánwó lọ́rọ̀ ètò ìnáwó pàápàá lẹ́yìn ìfẹ̀yìntì. A gbọ́dọ̀ tètè pọnmi sílẹ̀ di òǹgbẹ. Ká má náwó nínàkúnà bí ká má náwó lórí ohun tí ò tẹ̀ ní mú àpò ìkówósí wa kó tún lọ sókè sí. Ká kówó sórí ètò ẹ̀kọ́ àwọn ọmọ wa torí pé àwọn náà lọ́jọ́ ọ̀la. Ká ra ìpín ìdókòwò, ká ra dúkìá tó lè mówó wọlé. Wọ́n tún kọ́ wa pé ká gba ìmọ̀ràn lọ́dọ̀ àwọn akọ́ṣẹ́mọṣẹ́ ká sì kíyèsára ká má bàa sọ́wọ́ àwọn sógúndogójì ìyẹn àwọn 419. Wọ́n wá ní pé ká wo ètò tó lè mú bí ìkó mẹ́wàá owó wa kó wọlé padà sínú okòwò wa. Àwa gbọ́dọ̀ ní àlá rere fún ọjọ́ ọ̀la. Ká máa kíyèsí iye tá à ń ná ohun tó ń wọlé sápò wa kákọ̀ má máa náwó dànù àní náwó dànù láṣẹ Ọlọ́run ọba o. Wọ́n sọ̀rọ̀ lórí àwọn tá a lè kówó lé lórí bíi Eurobonds, Treasury bills, fixed deposits, real estate àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Àmọ̀ràn wọn ni pé kò sẹ́ni tí owó lè kúrò lọ́wọ́ ẹ o. Torí náà a gbọ́dọ̀ ṣètò fọjọ́ ọ̀la ká ṣiṣẹ́ ká má bàa ṣiṣẹ́ àbùsí Èdùmàrè fún gbogbo wa o.
Thank you, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. We have had the robust presentation of Mrs. Ogunwebimo concerning planning for retirement. You will be surprised that many people, they just live their lives by the day. They don't plan for the future. I was a former director of pension in Lagos State, so I know a lot about people that retire as if they never knew they were going to be 35 years in service, or they will turn 60 one day. A lot of problems such people have been creating to government. But our lady here has really opened our eyes of understanding to the need for everybody to plan well for our old age. Planning for retirement is tantamount to planning for death. When you are asked to do your will, it is important. It's also like planning for getting married or even having the number of children you are going to have when you get married. It takes a lot of wisdom for people to adhere to all these advices, because if you want to retire well and retire into good life, we need to plan well. A lot of people, up to when they are probably 59 or 34 years in service, they will not even know where they're going to live after they have retired. This is carelessness on part of many people. Let us as women think fast and think well. Apart from investments, let us plan for our lives so that at the end of the day, after retiring, we will still have like 30 or 40 more years. We have examples of fantastic women in our society. When you see them, they will be like 90-year-old, and they are beautiful women. They are standing well in the society. It is because they've planned for their future. I thank you for your patience, because it takes a lot of patience for all of you to still remain and listen to this. But it's not about listening, it's about you putting it into use place. She will now want to listen to questions. She wants to take just 5 questions. Thank you.
Do we have questions? Before we go ahead, I'd like to quickly let us know that opposite this hall, there is the medical points where we have cervical cancer screening, high blood pressure.
Thank you so much for taking this topic during this Cowsol this year, while you were busy making every other woman comfortable. I'd thank His Excellency, the Governor, Mr. Akínwùmí, because when he came, he promised that he was going to clear the backlog of pension debts, and he did so. God bless him, and God bless you too, ma. Thank you. God bless you. You will not suffer in your old age by the special grace of God. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you all for listening. Bye-bye. See you next year by God's grace.
Please, can we put our hands together for the chairman of session, Mrs. Yetunde Odejayi, and the speaker, Mrs. Mayowa Ogunwemimo. Thank you very much. Please, Her Excellency will take photographs with you just before you return to your seat. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, don't forget that we have medical screening just opposite this hall. If you want to be screened for cervical cancer, high blood pressure, and other ailments, of course, there will be free eye screening and prescription of free eyeglasses also opposite this hall. We have stalls where fabrics, clothes, jewelry, natural foods are also being sold. Please visit the hall opposite this particular one for any of those that you might be interested in. I forgot, shoes and bags are also available. I'm sure we could love to pick up 1 or 2 there. I'd like to let you know that it will be very good if we come in very early tomorrow so that we can start the sessions very early and finish in good time. We hope to be through with all the papers tomorrow by 1 o'clock before we go back and relax and then come back at 6, come back at 5 o'clock so that we'll start the gala night at 6 p.m. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for being here all day. Tomorrow is another date, and I'm sure we will find it as interesting as we have found it today. Once again, thank you for coming. Good afternoon.